Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. For today's video, I wanted to do another fun fragrance video, and I wanted to do a video that I don't think I've ever filmed before. I'm not sure if this has been done on YouTube. I'm pretty sure it has, but I just wanted to share 10 perfume notes that I absolutely hate, that I despise, that I just, anytime I see it in a fragrance release, I'm just like, don't want it. I thought that would be a really fun video to film. So if you would like to know 10 fragrance notes that I just cannot stand, I don't like the smell of, just keep on watching. Okay guys, I hope that you guys are doing great today. Let's jump right into today's video. But before I jump into today's video, I have to give a quick disclaimer. Really sad that I have to give a quick disclaimer, but I just have to before I move forward, because sometimes people just kind of state the obvious in the comment section and it kind of doesn't make sense to me, but I wanted to make sure that it's kind of clear before I start with today's video. These videos are for entertainment purposes only. The things that I say in my videos are not fact, because when it comes to perfume, nothing is fact. What's fact is the notes that are in the fragrance, but the way that I smell it and the way that you smell it could be totally different. So just because I don't like these notes does not mean that these are nasty notes, that they smell bad. It doesn't mean that. It means that on my skin, they don't smell good. I've literally put the same fragrance on myself and on my mom before, and I've smelled my skin and her skin. Fragrances that I cannot stand on myself smell so nice on her. So it does not mean that these notes are disgusting, that I think that this is fact or anything like that. It's just for fun. And to prove that even more, some of these notes might be in a lot of my fragrances, and because the formula is blended a certain way, it smells amazing and I don't pick up on that note the way that I might on others. But for the most part, these notes are very troublesome for me. So when I see these notes in perfumes, I kind of go on with caution. I might pick up a travel instead of blind buying, and I kind of just keep that in mind. If it's a note that I absolutely hate, I'd rather go and smell that perfume in person, because I know that 9 times out of 10 I'm just not gonna enjoy it. So with that said, let's jump right in. I'm pretty sure that if you are a regular viewer of my channel, you're already gonna know a lot of the notes that are going to be mentioned in this video, but these are just notes that I've had either bad experiences with, or they always tend to give me the same type of vibe or feeling, or kind of make me think of a certain thing that just puts me off. So the first note, I think everyone knows what's coming, is going to be jasmine. So jasmine is a floral note, and jasmine is probably one of the most used notes in fragrance. And I'm pretty sure the reason why they use it so much is because it's very long lasting. You can smell it in the air. Jasmine is a very strong note. I have a bunch of perfumes that have jasmine in them, and I might pick it up a little bit, or I might not even pick it up at all. But when I pick up that jasmine that I don't enjoy, it is a big turn off for me. It usually will give me a headache. It usually can end up smelling indolic, just weird. Like, it will just smell weird on my skin. I can't really place what it is. It's not full, like it's not that type of nasty smell, but it's more like it bothers me. It bothers my senses. It gives me a headache. I'm sensitive to it. And most of the time, if the jasmine is really strong in a fragrance, it will take over, especially on my skin. Let's say that there's a fragrance where it's supposed to be tropical, for example, Paco Rabanne Fame, where it's supposed to have, I believe it's mango and tropical notes, but then that jasmine in there will steal the show, and it will not let the mango come through. It won't let any of the other notes come through, and all I will get is this strong white floral, just very heady and sharp and strong. Like, there's no way that you can ignore it. There's no way that you can fix it. It's just there. That's what jasmine does when I don't enjoy it. But then there's fragrances that have jasmine that I absolutely love, and it does help with longevity. It helps with performance, and jasmine is a very popular note. There's so many fragrances that have jasmine in them that are just number one fragrances to many people. So I'm kind of more in the minority here. Like, I know that more people actually enjoy jasmine. I'm one of the unlucky ones. And someone left a comment. First of all, I wanted to thank all of you guys for being so sweet when I mentioned the hate, because the fragrance community is very different from other communities. I feel like everyone wants to know it all, say who's right, who's wrong, and it's very catty. I don't do good in that type of setting. Like as soon as I sniff out any cattiness, I'm out. I don't like that. I don't like to put others down. When I'm giving my opinion of something, I'm talking about my experience with that. It does not mean that if you're wearing a fragrance with a note that I don't like, that it's going to stink on you or that you're going to smell bad. It probably smells amazing on you, most likely. I just wanted to say thank you to those of you who left me super sweet comments and who understand where I'm coming from when I make those comments. Fragrance is very, very unique to each person, and someone made a comment that I loved. And they told me, when you're watching someone love a fragrance so much that to you smells horrible, at least in my experience and the person who left the comment, we actually want it to smell good to us. Like for example, J.Lo Miami Glow. I actually wish that I can smell what people say smells good. So it's just different sense of smell and we cannot control that. But we actually wish that it would smell good on us. Like the way that I see some people rave about a fragrance, I'm like, I want to smell that. When I see people raving about Alien, I want to smell that. I actually love Alien on other people, and I've stopped people before to ask them what they're wearing and it has been Alien. And when I try to wear Alien, it just doesn't work on me, unfortunately. So yeah, that's how it's been lately. It's been really weird lately. It's just perfume snobs. That's what it is. So Jasmine is my number one note that it's very, very small percentage of fragrances that will work with me with that note. Let's move on to the next one. And the next one is going to be Vetiver. That note right there is one that, again, will work on some fragrances. I have certain fragrances that have the note of vetiver. So vetiver is a kind of woody note to me. For some reason, it just always smells dry, and it kind of makes a fragrance lean more to the masculine side when I wear fragrances that are very strong on vetiver. And when you're looking at notes, I love going on Fragrantica. They do help out a lot with explaining things. So when you look up vetiver, it will let you know that it comes from different parts of the world. There is Haitian vetiver, which smells clean and ethereal, while you also have Javanese vetiver, which can smell smoky and dusty. If you had to generalize vetiver, it would be an earthy, woody, and green scent. And to me, it definitely comes through as woody and earthy. It makes perfume sometimes smell like just not clean and fresh and pretty like I want to smell. It kind of makes them smell dusty and dry. It makes me think of like hay or something. I don't know. It's a very complicated note for me as well. And that's probably why I think niche fragrances are a little bit trickier for me to enjoy, and that's because they do love to use a lot of vetiver. I feel like in some fragrances it will help make this fragrance smell amazing, but for the most part, if a fragrance is heavy on the vetiver, I can kind of pick it up. It's almost like this, I don't want to say burning, but just weird scent to my nose. It's like my nose just does not enjoy it. Perfect example, we have Mugler Angel Muse, which I wish I would have never got rid of that perfume. Even though it's a very tricky perfume for me to wear, even though it's very different, for me it's like a masterpiece of a perfume because it literally takes you on a ride. It's a beautiful scent. But that fragrance right there has very earthy smelling notes, but then it has hazelnut and it has pink pepper and grapefruit in the opening. So you have this bright opening, this beautiful chocolatey scent, and then that vetiver and patchouli, which are two notes that are difficult for me, actually ground the fragrance, make it smell so good and sexy, and the longevity is really great with those notes as well. So not every fragrance to me smells horrible with vetiver, but I definitely am more careful when I see that note. I do see that a lot of men's fragrances have vetiver, so it's very popular in colognes, and for me it does give me more of a masculine feeling. My third note, we have patchouli. Patchouli is a very polarizing one, even more than jasmine, I would say. When I go smell candles, for example, at Home Goods or TJ Maxx, when they have a heavy dose of patchouli, I cannot handle that. Patchouli can either smell sexy, it can add a lot of sexiness to a fragrance, and it can also add a scent that literally smells like dirt, soil, like you're planting, like you're gardening, that very rich, strong kind of like soil, dirty smell. I will get that from patchouli. I've gotten that from so many perfumes that I've blind bought. For example, YSL Mon Paris patchouli bomb. It was like smelling dirt. Also, Angel Au Croisier. I'm probably saying that totally wrong, but that one also smelled very like dirt. It's like smelling, that's the only way that I can describe it. It's like smelling dirt. And then I have fragrances like Elie Saab Girl of Now, smell, which is one of my all-time favorite fragrances, which is very sweet, very feminine, very girly, very thick, very intoxicating, and the patchouli in there is perfection. It adds this beautiful grown-up touch to it, this sexiness to it. It makes it long lasting. It makes all of those sweet notes kind of a little more grounded and not so cloying. So patchouli is an amazing note in the perfume world, but it is a note that I have to be careful with. And out of all the notes that I talked about, patchouli is probably the one that I have the most in my perfume collection, because it's another one that is added into perfumes almost all the time. It is described as woods and mosses, and the odor profile is an exotic bush that grows mainly in India, the leaves of which produce the essential oil of patchouli, sweet, dark, with an earthy, woody edge. It is very popular in many blends. There you go. There is also different types of blends of patchouli as well, so that probably is a big reason why some of the fragrances that I have with patchouli smell amazing and others could end up smelling literally like dirt. Number 4, we have incense. Oh my god, how difficult is it for me when it comes to incense? Incense has ruined a lot of fragrances for me that I have been wanting to love and try. Something about it just always ends up being super strong on my skin. So incense is grouped in resins and balsams, and the odor profile, olibanum or frankincense, is usually meant by incense in a fragrance pyramid. It could also refer to a smoky note. So I definitely get like a smokiness from incense. There has been many fragrances that I have blind bought that as soon as that incense kind of starts to mix with my skin, it just gets stronger and stronger. So those are the notes that my skin just likes to pull the most, which is funny because it's the ones that I hate the most. But I'm trying to see here if there's any fragrance. Like for example, Delina Exclusive. I fell in love with that scent profile. I remember really liking it. I spoke really good about Juliana's Perfumes version of the Lena Exclusive. I remember it smelled so good. It smelled very luxurious, very like good quality smelling. But then once it would start drying down on my skin and the incense would start coming through, it would just ruin it for me, because those types of scents to me, incense, vetiver, moss, I have been liking a lot more. But sometimes those can kind of smell like if I'm walking literally into a Whole Foods. You know, when you walk into Whole Foods and you get like that herbal smell, it's not necessarily that it stinks at all. It just smells very earthy, kind of like spices, like if I'm cooking or something. And I personally don't want to smell that way. I prefer to smell juicy and floral and girly, and that's just me. Maybe with age, I'll start liking different scent profiles, which is something that is very common as well. Next up is tobacco, which is kind of the same thing with that. Tobacco just ends up smelling to me kind of like damp, old, kind of musty. Tobacco is really hard for me also in fragrances, and it is described as a green herbs, and the profile says it's a rich, nuanced, warm and sweet herbaceous scent with a note of whiskey, caramel and hay. There has been some fragrances with tobacco though that I have been drawn to. For example, Tom Ford Tobacco Vanille. That is not one that I would get a full-size bottle of, because I don't think that it's a fragrance that I would reach for all the time. But when it comes to smelling that one on the skin, I remember I went through a sample of Tobacco Vanille and I actually wore it a few times. But it's definitely one that I will have to be in the mood for. And again, it kind of leans masculine to me, and I don't really enjoy that note. So that's another one that I just don't like. It's another one that adds kind of like smokiness to perfumes. It definitely adds like depth, and I know that it probably makes it smell more complex, more grown for sure. I'm sure that men really enjoy that note, and I think on a man it would probably smell so much better than when I would try to pull off a tobacco note. Ooh, this next note, you guys, has ruined perfumes for me. Perfumes that I have actually fell in love with, that I love the scent DNA, that I wish could be favorites. And then this note comes in and kind of just, it literally makes me sick to my stomach. It's kind of cloying to me. It makes me sick. It makes me feel a little nauseous. And that is benzoin. I've heard so many people talk about benzoin, and some people refer to benzoin as very sweet. And to me, maybe it's so sweet that it almost makes me sick, but I don't really feel like there's sweetness from it. And on Fragrantica, it's described as a warm balsamic note reminiscent of vanilla. But I have noticed when I have tried fragrances that have benzoin mixed in with vanilla, or even worse, bourbon vanilla, or that type of very thick, strong vanilla, oh my god, it will make me just want to puke. I don't know why that happens to me. If I wear a fragrance that has benzoin and I put it on to go out, I pretty much just set myself up to have like a horrible time because it just puts me in a bad mood. It gives me a headache. It makes me feel yucky. I do not enjoy benzoin. But like I said, there are fragrances in my collection that have benzoin and they don't bother me. So it all depends how much they're putting into the fragrance, what type of blend they're using, what type of ingredients they're using. That will determine if I'm gonna like it or not. The next one is another floral, and that is tuberose. This one is not as bad as the other ones, and I can work around this sometimes, but tuberose to me can come off kind of like bubblegum, and there's nothing wrong with that, but then there is this tuberose that will end up getting on my nerves really quickly. So tuberose is a note that I will smell it at first and I will think, ooh, this smells really pretty. It smells really good. And in an hour or two, I would be like, get it off of me. I'm ready to get it off because it will end up getting so annoying on my skin. And tuberose is actually in some fragrances that are super beautiful. For example, My Way by Giorgio Armani has a very strong tuberose note. Givenchy's L'Interdit has tuberose in it as well. It's probably one of the most famous, I would say, tuberose scents in the designer world. And tuberose is described as an intense white floral, carnal, sweet and indolic fragrance note with green nuances, which I do agree it does have some green nuances to it. And there are some perfumes that I have smelled with tuberose that have been so beautiful, but again, I just get tired of them very quickly. Like My Way from Giorgio Armani, that is such a beautiful scent. I actually have a travel size in my collection that I need to go back to and revisit to see how I feel about it now. So Scandal from Jean Paul Gaultier, I really like that one, and then all of a sudden I didn't. And I feel like that's what happens to me with a bunch of fragrances that have tuberoses, that they will end up being really strong light, and then all of a sudden I'll just get really tired of them because the note gets kind of like overbearing. I like notes that kind of mix with your skin that feel natural. They don't feel like too sharp, too strong, and tuberose can get a little annoying to me. So this next note is one that I would not say it's a note that I hate because it's actually in a bunch of my fragrances, and a lot of the times it is bright, and that is pink pepper. But I have had really bad experiences with pink pepper before. Valentino Donna Born Aroma was an example of that. I didn't know if it was the bourbon vanilla or if it was there was just different notes in that perfume that I didn't really enjoy too much, but I noticed that the pink pepper kind of makes my throat a little itchy, kind of scratchy feeling sometimes, and I don't get it from every perfume that has pink pepper, but that one is not as bad as the other ones. So pink pepper is pink peppercorn, and it is a fresh, spicy, floral, and herbal top note with rosy nuance. That is kind of what ruined Glossier You for me, because Glossier You has very powdery, second skin, musky. It's very nice scent, but the pink pepper just feels very harsh in that scent. But then I have another favorite fragrance that has pink pepper, which is Hermes Tuile de Hermes Eau Poivrée. That one has pink pepper, rose, and patchouli, which I would never think that that is a fragrance that I would go for, but that combination in that perfume is, again, a masterpiece, very unique and beautiful. So pink pepper is very tricky for me when it comes to perfumes. Ooh, this next one. This next one is the reason why 90% of niche fragrances don't work out for me. As soon as I smell this note, if it is heavy, if it's concentrated, if it's like in there, I'm not gonna like it. I'm not gonna like it. No me gusta, no me gusta. And that is amber. Oh my god. Amber can be so in your face and strong, and when amber and jasmine are combined, it is a bomb. It will give me a headache. It will put me out for the rest of the day. And that is what I noticed, that a lot of niche fragrances use a lot of amber. They go heavy on the amber. So that kind of pisses me off when I try a niche fragrance and the main thing that I smell is that amber. Is like, come on, you just like killed so many of the notes in the fragrance. Sometimes I'll see a niche fragrance. I'll give you an example. We'll have a niche fragrance that has pineapple, coconut, guayaba, just all the Amy notes, but then the base has amber. My nose will literally skip over those notes and go straight to the amber, and the amber will be all that I smell. And amber to me smells almost like thick and cloying too. Like there's something about amber that I cannot handle, and it has messed up a lot of fragrances for me. And last but not least, here is another note that I loved for so long, and it's a note that actually I grew up with. And there's memories of my childhood with this note, but for some reason in some fragrances I cannot handle it, and it just puts me in like a bad mood so quickly, and that is neroli. So when I was a little girl, I literally have pictures of me putting on cologne because I've been so girly since I was literally out the womb. So I used to love putting on Nenuco, which is a baby cologne that in Puerto Rico is super popular, and it mainly smells like neroli. It kind of, think of Tom Ford Neroli Portofino, how that one I want. I do want that fragrance. It's like this, kind of makes me think of the ocean, or like air, like the ocean air. It's like refreshing, and neroli is not aquatic or anything, but they do use it a lot with summer scents. But Nenuco used to smell so good, and I didn't really smell sharpness in Nenuco, but there are some fragrances that I smell with neroli, especially they really love to add neroli to any fragrance that is kind of like beachy, and then they just ruin it for me there, because I'll have like that ocean air. Almost think of like being at a hotel, for example, that has a lobby that heads out into the ocean, and you're just getting like that fresh ocean breeze. I love those types of perfumes, but every time that I have that type of perfume, they will dump neroli in there, and the neroli will just ruin it for me. It's a note that it's even hard for me to describe what it smells like, but there are some type of nerolis that also smell green to me. They remind me of some type of, that she must have had neroli. I had this aunt that I used to go visit, and anytime that I was playing out in the backyard at her house, it smelled just like neroli, which I didn't know when I was little. But whenever I smell neroli, it takes me to that backyard immediately. And I don't know what it is about neroli, but it'll start off smelling real good, and then after, like, let's say an hour of wearing it, I'm dying. Like, I wish I could just jump out of my skin because it's just driving me crazy. So yeah, I can't really do too much neroli. Lately, when I see neroli in a perfume, I will definitely go and try and smell it first. I won't buy a full-size bottle if something has neroli, because I've been let down too many times. So yeah, those are the notes that I think I'm going to talk about today. I have more written down, and if I notice that you guys enjoy a video, I will definitely do part 2, part 3 to these types of videos. But today we're gonna end it at neroli. So now that we are done, let me know what is the note that you can't stand. A note that 95% of the time when you go to buy a fragrance and you smell that note, it almost always just ruins it. A note that you pick up right away, that it stands out, that your skin likes to make like really sharp. I want to know what those notes are. Let's go ahead, let's talk in the comment section. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and I will see you guys in my next video.